Everybody seems so happy to see each other today. The notes are out there for anybody who wants them for this morning. Of course, the paper form is here in the house. If you're watching at home, they are in the description box. If you happen to be watching on YouTube, if you're watching on our app, they're in the app as well. Thank you so much for hanging out with us this morning. Shabbat Shalom to everybody. I know that within the entire body, everybody's sort of on a little bit different calendar, and we're going to be addressing that soon. But for us, at least the memorial today, this weekend for us, is the memorial of Shavuot. We've been counting the Omer, and really tomorrow would be that. But we're going to celebrate today. We're going to celebrate tomorrow, talk a little bit about it. So happy Shavuot to everybody here and, of course, online as well. And as I said, we're going to, in a few weeks, we're going to get into the calendar. It's a really, really big subject. It's going to take quite a few weeks, I think, to go through everything. And but here we are. We're here today. This is what we're doing. And it is good to have you guys with us. I want to say a happy birthday. A happy 83 years young birthday to Sister Iris. We'll get a chance to sing happy birthday to her downstairs, but phenomenal. That's wonderful. All right, so as I said, the notes are there. Our opening verse for today comes from the Gospel according to John, chapter 14 and verses 10 through 12. And it says the following. Do you not believe that I am in the Father and the Father is in me? The words that I speak to you, I do not speak from myself, but the Father who stays in me does his work. Believe me that I am in the Father and the Father in me. Otherwise, believe me because of the works themselves. Truly, truly, I say to you, he who believes in me, the works that I do, he shall do also. And greater works than these he shall do, because I go to my Father. For a few moments this morning, the title and the topic of the message coming right from those verses is entitled Greater Works. Greater Works. You guys know the prayer here. If you know it at home, please pray with us. Father, give us eyes to see, ears to hear, and a heart that is willing to obey. In the Master's name, amen. Amen. Okay, so greater works. Now, this is, believe it or not, we're going to get to at least a reference here to Shavuot and what it's about. We've talked about Shavuot before many, many times over the years as we've kept the memorials. And we're going to do so again. I'm going to give you some information probably for the next couple of weeks because there's just so much to say on the topic. You just can't squeeze it into an hour. So we're going to do a couple of different messages, take it from different angles. But this morning, what I wanted to do, and this absolutely does relate to Shavuot, our opening verses there are in the Gospel of John. And of course, this is the night of the crucifixion. He's talking with his disciples, and he makes this or that statement. He's talking about believing him, that we are to believe the words that he's speaking. They're not his words, he tells us. They are Father's words. But he is there. He is presenting them. And he asked us, and it's in the orange there. It's the first one in the orange, verse 11. He says, believe me that I am in the Father and the Father in me. All right, and so that's something I think we can all wrap our minds around. We believe that the Father was in him. We believe that he is in the Father. We've got that. Okay, check. But he says otherwise. And otherwise means if you can't wrap your mind around that, at least start with this. At least understand this. And so what is he asking us to understand? Otherwise, if you can't wrap your mind that he's in the Father and the Father's in him, otherwise, believe me because of the works themselves. So you read that, and of course you got the first question that should pop into our mind is, well, what works is he referring to that we're supposed to see and believe in him to understand who he is? The works that he's talking about are an equivalent statement to believing that the Father is in him and he's in the Father, of understanding who he is and what it is that he is doing. Believe this. Otherwise, if you can't wrap your mind around it, at least start here. Believe this. And then this crazy statement in verse 12. And it's a truly, truly, I say unto you. You guys have been under my ministry long enough. When the master says, truly, truly, I say unto you, what do we need to do? Pay attention, believe it, look at it, read it, try to understand it. He says, truly, truly, I say to you, he who believes in me, the works that I do, he shall do also. And here's the kicker. Even greater works than these he shall do. Now, you read that, and my first response, my first reflex action to that is, what is he talking about that I can do that's greater than he can do? I don't know about you. When's the last time you walked, on top of your pool while it was full? I haven't done that in a while. When's the last time you sat down to dinner and said, bowed your head and thanked Abba, and you opened up your eyes and there was 7 times on the table that there after you pray than before you prayed? Is that what he's referring to? Whatever he's referring to, it's important. It's important to identify him, and it is important for us because there's something that relates to us in understanding that we also partake in. Here's another reference. This is John chapter 5. He's saying the same thing. This is earlier than obviously than John 14, than the actual the night of the Passover. Gospel of John chapter 5 verse 36. The master says something very, very similar. He says, "But I have a greater witness than that of Yochanan." We started talking about John the immerser last week. He's certainly part of all of this, the one who comes in the spirit of Elijah. And so the master's talking about who's witnessing for him. Who is giving testimony? John's testimony was, behold the Lamb. Right there he is. Behold the Lamb of God. He takes away the sin of the world. He must increase, I must decrease. That was his testimony. He pointed him out. He says here, the master says, he has a greater witness than that of John. Even though many, many people obviously believe John, went out to the waters to be baptized, the master's saying there's a greater witness. And again, by witness, it means someone who can testify, someone who can explain what this thing is about or who the master is. He says, for the works that Father gave me to accomplish, the works that I do bear witness of me. So now, hopefully it makes chapter 14 make a little bit more sense, because here he is, even before chapter 14, saying, if you see the works that I'm doing, the works are also supposed to be a witness to you, which means that they're not just there for the sake of being there. The master doesn't do what you and I would call the miraculous just to do the miraculous. They're not parlor tricks. They are there for a purpose. And the purpose is to witness, to help those who see these things, if you have eyes to see it and ears to hear it and a heart that's willing to obey it, to understand what the miracle means. Because every miracle, let me ask you this, is there anything that you think that Mashiach, the creator of all that there is, without him nothing was made that is made, do you think that there is anything that he does, or any place that he goes, or anything that he says that's just arbitrary? It's just fill-in stuff. It doesn't really matter. Or do you think that he is very, very specific in what he says, in what he does, in where he goes, in who he talks to, in how he preaches. I think he's very, very, very intentional. Arya is very, very, nothing is there arbitrarily. Whatever town he happens to be in is important. It tells us something about what's going on. The description of who's around him is important. It tells us something about what's going on. And here he's telling us the works, the things you see me do. I'm just going to say miracles, but the works you see me do, they are intentional. They're not arbitrary. They didn't just happen by happenstance. They happened by design. They are there as a witness to us. So he says, for the works the Father gave me to accomplish. Hold on a second. Now, if you look at some of the other versions, it says the works that the Father gave me to finish. Accomplish and finish have the same connotation, the same meaning. Meaning, something already started, and now he's here to continue the work, but not just continue the work, to do what with it? To finish it, to accomplish it, to bring it to its end. So whatever he's talking about, whatever these things are that we're looking at that are great works, that are a testimony, but also things that evidently we're going to take part in even greater works, they are there specifically to identify who he is and to accomplish the work that has been started. The works that I do, they bear witness of me, that the Father has sent me. So it's really the same verse, the same topic that we read in John 14. It says, and the Father who sent me, he bore witness of me. You, meaning all of us, obviously he's speaking to the Pharisees, the Sadducees, he's speaking to the people of his day. You have neither heard his voice, that's Father's voice, at any time, nor have you seen his form. And you do not have his word staying in you, because you do not believe him whom he sent. So this is exactly the same as I'm in the Father's in me. If you can't wrap your minds around that, at least begin here. The works that I do, they testify of me. Both of these chapters are telling us the same thing. So and there's no way to go through every one of the works. It'd be a 3-hour message, and I'd be way past lunchtime for me. I'm not going to do that. But we're going to slim it down just a little bit. Let's look at some of the works that he's referring to. This is in pictorial form, so it's easy for everybody to see. I'm just going to highlight some. So when we say works, we're talking about the miracles, the things that he does, these incredible events that occur. Like on the first picture there, the healing of the 10 lepers. The 10 lepers are healed. They call off from a distance. He tells them, go to Jerusalem, go show yourself to the priest, go follow the law of Moses. And one of them, of the 10, come back to him and bow down before him and thank him for the healing. Is that arbitrary or is that intent? Oh, it's intent. It's intent. It's not by accident that it's 10 people who have leprosy. It's not by accident that they have leprosy. It's not by accident that he tells them to go and fulfill what Moses said with the priest. It's not by accident that of all 10 of them, one comes back. It's not by accident that this takes place in a Gentile area, in Samaria. It's not by accident. Everything is intentional. There's a message in everything. The thing is, are we patient enough to really read through it and try to find out what the meaning is? So one miracle or one work. Another work, the picture right next to it. A man that is both mute and deaf. This occurs in the scripture account. The master heals someone who is dumb, who cannot speak, and who cannot hear. Is that intentional or arbitrary? It's intentional. What about the man who was born blind? Well, also not arbitrary, intentional. But that's a mighty work. These are really incredible works. Miracles. That's what these things are. And then, of course, the man who was lame, sitting by the pool of, Siloam? Or is it Siloam? Sitting by the pool, waiting for the waters to stir. And, of course, the master heals him. He that did not walk, his legs are straightened out, his muscles are strengthened, and that man stands up on his feet and he walks. Is that intentional, or is that just like, it's part of the story, we're just going to describe it, it happened, and that's it? No, it is intentional. It is meant to tell us something. The woman with the issue of blood, she is nada. She has a blood issue. And she comes into the crowd where she is not supposed to be. She's supposed to be on the outside of the camp. She's supposed to be exiled. And yet she makes her way to the master, and it tells us that she does what? Remember? She touches what? Now that's sort of the King James way. We say hem of the garment. And even the picture, I couldn't even find a good picture of it, because we say hem of the garment and we're thinking, oh, it's like the cuff of his jeans. No. It's his tzitzit. They're grabbing his tzitzit. Is that intentional, or is that arbitrary? What's a tzitzit, or what's a tzitzit for? It's to remind you to keep the Torah. It's not arbitrary, it's intentional that she goes and she grabs for the tzitzit. And of course, she is healed. Miraculous, amazing, wonderful. And the last one there is the woman who is caught in adultery. You can say, well, this isn't a miracle. Oh, yeah, it is. Because if the Messiah had not stepped in, what would have happened to this lady? She'd have been killed. And of course, you know the story. The master goes on the ground and begins writing, and of course he asks them, he that's without sin cast the first stone. And they all start to go their way, and the master tells her, you're those who have accused you have gone. He doesn't accuse her either, but go and sin no more. Is that intentional, or is that arbitrary? It's intentional. Everything is intentional. Everything was planned out. Everything says something. Now, these are just some of them. We can go on to describe miracle after miracle after miracle. They all fall under this category. We just don't have time to do them all. But just these, in and of themselves, if we take from a literal sense what we just opened up with, and it read, if you can't wrap your mind around the Father's in me and I'm in the Father, at least start here, that the works that I do, they'll make you believe. They are a witness to me. And you will do greater works. My first response to that is, nah, get out of here. No way. No way. This is, lepers cleansed. This is, a blind, deaf, mute. This is huge stuff. And we certainly have, or many have, and it's sad that it is this way. And these are just a couple. I could have shown you a dozen, 24 pictures. We call them faith healers today. And they've been around forever. We just know them today because of all the mass media we've got. We know their names, their pictures and stuff. But this has been going on since the beginning. People who go out there and claim to have the power to perform miracles, to heal. And what verse normally, if you listen to any of these people, what verse normally do they stand on? The one we just opened up with. If he did these mighty works, and he says that we are supposed to do those mighty works, that's their basis or their proof as to why these things are to be done. Now, I'll be honest with you. We talked about this last night at Hidden Manna. I'll say it again. I've been doing this for well over 30 years. And in all the years that I've done this, have I prayed for people? Of course. Have I prayed for healing for people? Of course. Have I seen some neat things occur? Yeah, of course I have. Have I seen anybody with leprosy not have leprosy? No. Have I seen anybody that's lame from birth get up and walk? No. Have I seen anybody that's blind see? No, I haven't seen any of that. I'm just being honest with you. I haven't seen that. I'm not saying I haven't, we prayed for somebody, they went into the hospital, they had a surgery, we prayed for them, everything turned out great, and we were grateful for it, we thanked Yah for it, we absolutely did thank Yah for it. But that's not the same thing. That's not a greater work than what he was doing or what he was talking about is a witness to him. So, but don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that Yah doesn't heal. He does. But if he does, it's intentional. It means something, as it does here. So all of that stuff. And it's sad how many people flock to these things because everybody's hurting. Everybody's got something going on. And you hear these things, and without really getting into what the text really says, you could read that and say, oh, well, maybe that is what it believes. I mean, the disciples, the apostles, they did some miraculous things too, at least as is recorded. Do you think those things were arbitrary? Or do you think they were by design as well? They were by design. Okay. They bear witness of me. So if the works, if those miracles that we just went over, if they bear witness of him, the question in my mind is, what witness? What do they say? What do those miracles, because what he's telling us is those miracles speak. They say something. They're not just there for the sake of being there. They have a purpose for the one who experienced it, for the people who were there, and for you and I, all these many, many, many years later, who are reading it. So what is the witness that they bear of him? Here's Matthew chapter 15 and verse 24 and Luke chapter 19 verse 10. I want to describe to you what the witness actually is. Because the master tells us, if you really take the time and read through it slowly, everything he questions, everything he'll give an answer at some point somewhere. So here's Matthew chapter 15 and verse 24. This is the Syrophoenician woman, a Gentile woman, non-believer, outside the house of Israel. She comes to the master. Her daughter has a demon. I think her daughter has a demon, and she's asking for healing. And the disciples at one point tell the master, "Can we just get rid of her? She's really annoying. She's going on and on and on and on." And listen to his words, because they are shocking if you don't understand the whole story. And many of us, well, we didn't. He says, and answering, he said, "I was not sent except to the lost sheep of the house of Israel." Now think about that for a second. I know it's kind of clear reading it, but let me say this in another sort of modern English way. I was only sent for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. That's mind-boggling. Because we're told this is about everything. It's about everybody. It's about all Gentiles, about all Jews, it's about everybody. And it is, but his words are, I've only come for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. How can we square those two things? How can he have loved the world so much that he gave his only begotten son, and yet at the same book, same gospel accounts, he's telling us, I'm only here for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Here's Luke chapter 19 and verse 10. For the Son of Adam has come to seek and to save that which is lost. And we normally would take that to mean, well, everybody's lost. We're all lost. Everybody's lost. We're in sin. And that's all true. But he just finished telling us, number one, what part of the intent is. I've come but for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And now he's telling us the Son of Man has come to seek and to save that which was lost. What's lost? What did he come to save that was lost? You can say, oh, it's all humanity, but that's not what he just said. He just said, I came to seek and save the lost sheep of the house of Israel. That's what's lost. Here's John chapter 10 and verse 14. I am the good shepherd. We recently talked about this, so this should be familiar. The master says, I am the good shepherd. If you know anything about your Bible, and he says, I am the good shepherd, what's one of the first verses that should pop into your mind from the Psalms? Psalm 23. Yah is my shepherd. He says, I am the good shepherd, and I know mine, and mine know me, even as the Father knows me, and I know the Father. This is very similar to what we just read in our opening verse in John 14. And he says, and I laid down my life for the sheep. He's telling us what the witness is. I've come to seek and to save that which is lost. I have come only or but for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And now he's telling us what the purpose and the intent is. I am here to lay down my life for the sheep. What sheep? The sheep that were lost. He goes on to say, I lay down my life for the sheep and other sheep. Of course, we've talked about this before. He's talking about the sons of Joseph, Ephraim, or the northern house, Israel. I have which are not of this fold. This fold is Judah. That's the sheep he's talking to. So who are the sheep that are lost? The house of Ephraim and the house of Judah. They are all lost sheep. Who did he come for, or to do what for them? To seek and to save that which was lost. They're lost. And how is he going to do this to both sheep? The shepherd will lay down his life for the sheep. This is the meaning. This is the witness. This is what he's saying. If you can't wrap your mind around, I'm in the Father and the Father's in me. Otherwise, look at the works. They testify of me. This is what they should be testifying about. That he's come to seek and to save that which is lost. It is the lost sheep of the house of Israel. It is the northern house Ephraim. And it is the southern kingdom Judah as well. I have which are not of this fold. I have to bring them as well. And so what else is his intention? What else is the witness? What else is the purpose? That they should hear my voice, both sheepfolds, and they shall be one flock. One flock with one shepherd. So what's the witness? The sheep are lost. I'm the good shepherd. I'm going to lay down my life for them. I'm going to take both of those sheepfolds that are separated and scattered, and I'm going to bring them back together. And I'm going to make one sheepfold. Who's the sheepfold? The house of Israel is. Put these two groups together, they are the nation of Israel. Maybe two other kingdoms now, but the nation of Israel. Do you want to be a sheep? Are you a sheep? I say, for me anyway, yeah, I'm a sheep. Meh, meh, can't you tell? I'm a sheep. Why? Because there's only two possibilities that you can be. You are either a sheep or you're a goat. I ain't no goat. Did everybody just get what I just said? There's only really two categories. You're either sheep or you're a goat. If we're sheep, and I know this is not what we learn, it's not what we're told, it's not what the traditional religion around us has told us. If we're not part of the house of Israel, how can we then be sheep? You have to be part. Of course, we're talking about Ephraim, the fullness of the Gentiles. So that's the intent. Here's Ezekiel chapter 24. So you realize everything the master is saying is not arbitrary. It's not just coming off the cuff. It's by intent. Ezekiel chapter 24, verse 6, it says, my sheep, this is Yah speaking, Yod He Wav He, my sheep wandered through all the mountains and on every high hill, and my sheep were scattered all over the face of the earth. This is Yah speaking to Ezekiel way before we see Mashiach the way we see him. It says, for thus says the Master Yah, see, I myself shall search for my sheep and seek them out. And yet we read the Master say, I have come but for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. They're my sheep, the ones that are near in Judah, and the ones that are far off in Ephraim, and I've got to take them and bring them one. The person speaking in Ezekiel 24 here, I think it's 34, not 24. Ezekiel 34 is the same person speaking in John chapter 10. And he's telling us the same exact thing. See, I myself shall search for my sheep and seek them out, as a shepherd seeks out his flock on the day that he is among his scattered sheep. Where's his sheep? They're scattered. So I shall seek out my sheep and deliver them from all the places where they were scattered in the day of cloud and thick darkness. That's a reference to the ingathering, the great ingathering. And I shall bring them out from the peoples and gather them from the lands and shall bring them to their own land. And I shall feed them on the mountains of Israel, in the valleys and in the dwellings of the land. And I'm just going to add for just emphasis here, and there shall be one fold and one shepherd. Because everybody see, these are talking about the same thing. Ezekiel 34 is not different from John 10. They are, in fact, the same thing. So that's the witness. He's come for the house of Israel. The house of Israel is scattered. He has come to lay down his life for the house of Israel. And he will take both of them, eventually bring them back together, and there will be one sheepfold. That's the bare bones story. It would be awesome if we could present a story like this to our Jewish brethren. That they would understand, oh my goodness, this really is about us. Or it does include us. Because there's two sheep. One that's mixed amongst the Gentiles, that's far off, a very, very important term. We're going to talk about some let's see, what's the right way of saying it? Key terms or phrases you need to be aware of. When you hear the term far off, it's talking about Ephraim, who's scattered amongst the Gentiles, has become the Gentiles. When you hear near, it's talking about Judah, who at this time anyway, was still in Jerusalem, still in Judea, and even today is are back in Judea. There are those who are far off, and there are those who are near. Two different sheepfolds, and he's got to bring them both together and make them one. So he's come to finish the work or accomplish the work. What work? What needs to be finished? Here is at least a pictorial reference. The first time Shavuot was experienced. This is the first Shavuot. I told you this has everything to do with Shavuot. I know it takes us a while to go around the mountain a couple times, but we'll get there. The first Shavuot is Mount Sinai. And on Mount Sinai, of course, there's the huppah, there's the cloud, there's the pillar of fire, there's the thunder, the lightning, the shofars, all that crazy stuff is going on. And Yah picks a bride, the bride that has come out of Egypt. He now is betrothed to her. We've gone over this for the last few weeks leading up to today. On this day, on Shavuot, is the day of the betrothal. This is the day when it becomes official that he is the husband. Israel, that is everybody who got out of Egypt, both native born and strangers and foreigners, because it's always been about the strangers and foreigners. We would say Gentiles today. All who came out of Egypt become the betrothed, and all of them are called the house of Israel. All of them, native born and strangers and foreigners, are sheep. All of them are sheep at this particular moment. And here's Exodus chapter 19 and verse 5. It says, "And now if you will diligently obey my voice and shall guard my covenant, you shall be my treasured possession, a bride, above all peoples, for all the earth is mine. And you shall be to me a reign of priests and a set-apart nation. Those are the words which you are to speak to the children of Israel." And Moses came and called for the elders of the people and set before them all these words which Yah commanded him. And the people answered together and said, "All that Yah has spoken, we shall do." It's like a bride saying, "I do." So Moshe brought back the words of the people to Yah. They are betrothed. This is the beginning of the work. We found out in the Gospel of John chapter 14 and also in John 5, he has come to finish the work, to accomplish the work. Wait a minute, wasn't the work finished here? Didn't they become the bride? Isn't that like, oh, that's it, it's done, it's finished? No, something terrible happened. Something terrible happened here amongst the native born, the strangers, and the foreigners. Here is a quote from what's called the Midrash Rabbah. It's a rabbinical commentary. It's got all of the greatest rabbis throughout all of history, all their commentaries, and all of them, at least what I've read, all sort of agree on this particular issue. Here's Rabbi Simeon B. Yochai. Listen to his words. It's a quote up there. You got it. It's on your paper. You can read along with me. He says, when Israel stood before Mount Sinai and said, all that the Lord has spoken we will do, we just read it, and obey, at that moment there were among them neither persons with issue, any issues, nor lepers, nor lame, nor blind, nor dumb, no deaf, no lunatics, no imbeciles, no dullards, and no doubters. Under the mountain there, what the rabbis tell us is under that mountain, everybody was healthy and in right standing as they came out of Egypt. It was his bride. His bride was perfect before him for the betrothal. With reference to that moment, it says, thou art all fair, my beloved. After this, however, they sinned. What sin? The golden calf. The golden calf happens sometime after this, but it happens after this. And what did they immediately do while Moses was up on the mountain getting, the commandments written in stone that they already heard? They committed idolatry, which is actually adultery. They broke the covenant right off the bat. Of course, the first response of Yah is, I'm just going to wipe him out and I'm going to start over with Moses. And Moses pleads, he intercedes, and of course, mercy is shown to the house of Israel. But, and you know the story, of course, all the firstborns who were part of making the altar, they all wind up dying, and Levi goes out and he does it. We'll talk about that another time. We talk about the firstborn and the importance of that. So with reference to that moment, thou art my fair beloved, after that, they sinned. Not many days passed before there were persons with issues. After that, there were lepers. After that, there were lame and blind, dumb and deaf, lunatics and dullards. And as a result of their rebellion, these things now come on them. And the instruction is given, the order is given to put out of the camp every leper and everyone that has had an issue. He's quoting Numbers chapter 5 and verse 2. It's right under there. This is what he's referring to. Command the children of Israel to send out of their camp, which if you're sent out of the camp, that is exiled. You are being exiled. The punishment for rebellion against Yah's instruction is what? Exile. It always is. In the garden, they rebelled, and what happened to Adam and the woman? They were exiled. Here in the body, amongst the camp, at least under the mountain, they were all healthy and strong and ready for whatever's going to come next. They sin, and now those who have done it and are affected need to be exiled, moved outside of the camp. Command the children to send out of the camp every leper and everyone who has a discharge, and whoever becomes defiled for a being. Send out both male and female, send them outside the camp so that they do not defile their camp in the midst in which I dwell. So if you're defiled in any way, they want you exiled and outside the camp, because inside of the camp, for those that are not defiled, the presence of Yah is there. And if defilement is inside the camp, what's not there? The presence of Yah. He's not going to dwell in a place that is defiled. This is why all the cleanliness laws and the things of the camp, all of that was part of it. Because you wanted the presence of Yah in the camp. You wanted the Shekinah. Actually, I think the right way to say it is Shekinah. We say Shekinah all the time. You wanted the Shekinah glory there. It would only dwell there if the camp was clean. So that which was not clean was moved out. As leprosy and these things are a result of rebellion. Israel's sin would wind up exiling those people in the camp. But what is the true camp? Well, it's people under Mount Sinai. It's the people that gather around the tabernacle. Later on, it's Jerusalem and the walls that surround it with the temple in it. That's the camp. And the entire land is his land. And if his people, if he's true to his word, if his people continue to walk in defilement, what will he do to them? Put them outside of the camp. Exile them. Israel's sin would exile them or scatter the sheep. Here's Isaiah chapter 49, verse 13. Listen, and we just literally dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of scriptures we can go through. I'm not going to go through all of that. I'm just going to give you a couple here. The rabbis make note of this throughout the Talmud, throughout all of the commentaries. They equate things like deaf, blind, dumb, lame, leprosy, issue of blood, adultery. They look at all of those as the thing which exiled Israel, or the northern house, from the land. And now the southern kingdom as well. Listen to how Isaiah describes the house of Israel. Sing, O heavens, rejoice, O earth, and break out into singing, O mountains. For Yah shall comfort. He's going to bring comfort. That word comfort is one of those key words. It means he's going to bring them back together. He will comfort his people and have compassion on who? On his afflicted ones. Wait a minute. What's now the description of this bride who was a treasured possession? Now she's sick. Now she's afflicted. Obviously, Isaiah's a long time after that. She's sick. She's afflicted. Here's Isaiah 59, verse 9. Therefore, right ruling has been far from us. The righteousness does not reach us. We look for light, but there is darkness. For brightness, but we walk in thick darkness. If you're looking for light, that light is Torah. Light's the instruction. But if you don't walk in the light, you walk in darkness. Darkness, of course, is no Torah. The whole 10 virgins, some have light, others do not. But there is darkness for brightness. But we walk in thick darkness. We feel for the wall like the blind. And we feel as without eyes. What's the description of Yah's people when they break his instructions? Well, they're the afflicted we just read. Now we're being told they're what? Blind. Being absent the instruction, you are considered afflicted, diseased, unclean, and blind. And not just blind, we're going to find out deaf and lame and all of the other things that we see in the gospel accounts. At noon we stumble as at twilight in deserted places like the dead. So not only are they blind, and not only are they afflicted, they are like the dead. What's the most unclean thing? Death. Death has to be taken outside. Outside. Isaiah chapter 42, verse 18. Hear you deaf, and look you blind, and see. Who is blind but my servant? He's talking about my servant Israel. Or deaf as my messenger whom I send? Who is blind as he who is at peace, and blind as a servant of Yah? You see much, but you do not guard. Guard what? The commandments, the instruction, what you promised at Mount Sinai. You see much, but you do not guard. Ears are open, but you do not hear. So not only do you not walk right, you're lame. Not only are you afflicted, not only are you blind, now you can't hear, you're deaf, you can't see, but you do not hear. Who gave, verse 24, I skipped a couple of verses. Who gave Yaakov, Jacob, for plunder, and Israel to the robbers? Was it not Yah, he against whom Israel sinned against Yah, he against whom we sinned? For they, that is the house of Israel, both northern and southern, would not walk in his ways, and they did not obey his Torah. Therefore, they would eventually both be exiled, lost, scattered sheep. And unless Yah does something, they will remain lost, scattered sheep. But the shepherd has come to lay down his life for that which was sick, to heal the afflicted. Jeremiah chapter 31, number 10 on your notes. Jeremiah chapter 31 and verse 10. It's talking about the ingathering of the house of Israel. And look at how it describes them. The great ingathering to come. He says, see, I am bringing them from the land of the north, and shall gather them from the ends of the earth. Among them, among his sheep, those who are called the sheep, Ephraim, the fullness of the Gentiles, and Judah. Among them are the blind and the lame, those with child and those in labor together, a great assembly returning here. We're coming in the great exodus, in the great regathering. There's still people who are blind and lame. They're still dealing with the things that are going on, and yet he's calling them and bringing them in this great regathering, if those things indeed are synonymous with being in sin. With weeping they shall come, and with their prayers I bring them. I shall make them walk by rivers of water in a straight way in which they do not stumble. We'll talk more about that later. For I shall be a father to Israel and Ephraim. He is my firstborn. Hear the word of Yah, O nations, and declare it in the isles afar off, and say, he who scattered Israel, who scattered Israel? The shepherd allowed them to be scattered. The one who spoke from Mount Sinai allowed them to be scattered. Why? They would not keep his Torah, his instruction. The one who scattered Israel also gathers him. Who's going to gather them? Messiah is. Messiah is going to gather them. And he shall guard them as a shepherd his flock. One flock brought together. Here's same chapter, chapter 31. This is verse 27. So you see we're talking about both houses. See, the days are coming, declares Yah, that I shall sow the house of Israel, that is the northern house, scattered amongst the Gentiles, the fullness of the Gentiles, and the house of Judah, who is near. One house is far away, one house is near, with the seed of man, that is strangers and sojourners, and the seed of the beast. The beast are the nations, the Gentiles. So who also comes in this big sheepfold? With Ephraim comes all the men, all of the Gentiles who are also come and become part of the house of Israel, to become sheep, because you're either a sheep or you're a goat. This is what Saul is talking about in Ephesians and Romans and Corinthians and all sorts of other places. Chapter 2, verse 23. Listen carefully and check out the PDP in yellow. But now in Messiah Yeshua, you who once were far off. Who's far off? Ephraim is far off. Ephraim's amongst the Gentiles. Ephraim's mixed into the Gentiles. You can't tell the difference between Ephraim and the Gentiles. You who once were far off, Ephraim, Joseph really is Joseph and Ephraim and Manasseh. You who once were far off have been brought near. Who's near? Judah is. He's now bringing them what? Together. Or at least the process has started to complete the work. To finish the work that started at Mount Sinai, but gets interrupted because of her adultery. You've been brought near by the blood, that is the death of the shepherd, just like Messiah said in John chapter 10, by the blood of the Messiah. For he is our peace, who has made both one. Now we read that in our modern sort of religious way. We read that and we think he's talking about just totally Gentiles who have no understanding, no idea. They've got their own thing going on, and at some point, he's brought salvation to everybody. That's not what he's saying. He's saying they are mixed into Ephraim because there's only 2 sheepfolds. And those 2 sheepfolds are going to become one. And so he says here, again, as he says in many other places, for he is our peace who has made both flocks, Judah and Ephraim, one. And having broken down the partition of the barrier, having abolished in his flesh the enmity. What's the enmity? Because again, we read this and what we normally wind up hearing is that these verses tell us he's abolished the Torah. That he took the Torah and he nailed it to the cross. That was against us. No, what was against them? Their rebellion against the Torah. That's the enmity. That's what made them sick. That's what made them afflicted. That's what made them blind to the Torah, made them deaf to the Torah, made them lame to walking it out, made them dumb to the Torah. That's what made them adulteresses to the Torah. That's what made them a blood issue before the Torah. Those things. It's not that the Torah did it. It was our rebellion that did it. For he is our peace, having broken down the partition of the barrier, having abolished in his flesh the enmity, the sickness, the death, the thing that exiled us. And I put this in the PD so it makes sense. As is written in the Torah of the commandments and dogma. So what did the Torah tell us? If you obey, blessing. If you disobey, what? Curse. If you disobey and there's a curse, is the Torah bad? Or is the Torah just telling you this is what's going to happen? It's just telling us what's going to happen. To create in himself one, PDP, one nation, renewed from the two sheepfolds, thus making peace and to completely restore. We talked about John the Baptist and we talked about Elijah. His job is to bring restoration, restore all the things that we've lost. We've lost so much. We've been told so many things that are so far from this actual truth. It's going to take a process for us to be restored to some of these things. And some of them are going to sound so awkward and out of the way that this isn't really the gospel message I heard, but we're being restored to those things. And to completely restore, to heal all our diseases. That's what restore means, because why are we diseased? Because we break his commandments, his instruction. That's the disease. And he's come to heal the diseases, to favor both of them, that is, both houses, unto Elohim, in one body, one nation, with one shepherd. Through the stake, the cross, having destroyed the enmity, death, by transgression of the Torah. What's the most unclean thing? Death, and death keeps you outside the camp. Destroyed the enmity by it. So, what works did Messiah do? He heals 10 lepers in the area of Samaria because Samaria was the capital of the northern kingdom. He's not there by accident. He's there intentionally. And how many tribes were there in the northern kingdom that got scattered? 10. How many lepers are there that are scattered outside the camp? 10. And they get healed, and they are still told, keep the command. Back to Jerusalem, go back to the priest, even though you guys are from Samaria, go back to the priest and show yourself to them and go through whatever the process is. And even though there was healing given to all 10 of them, only one comes back to bow down. You think that's arbitrary? Or is he telling us what's coming? Is he telling us what's going to happen to the northern house, who is leprous, whom he has healed, and how many will actually come back, bow their knee, and acknowledge who he is? He heals a man that is deaf and mute, a man that cannot hear the Torah and does not speak the Torah. He heals him so he can hear and he can speak, so he can Shema. Hear, O Israel, open up your ears. Shema. Our ears have been diseased. Our mouths have been diseased. We speak things that are not his word, that are not even close to his word, and we speak them as truth. That's someone who is deaf and dumb. He heals a man who is blind, who cannot see the things of Yah, who walks in darkness. His sheep do not have eyes to see. They can read the book and even get the surface story, but not understand what it's about, not put into applications the things that it actually says. So he heals a blind man. He heals a man who's lame, who cannot walk the Torah out, but instead is relying on some sort of ritual, some sort of spirit, some sort of angel that stirs up the water. And everybody who's sick, you know what that angel is? He's a faith healer. And everybody around the pool are all going to these faith healers, just waiting for the water to stir. And the first one in the water, they say, gets healed. Does it really happen? I doubt it. And yet the Messiah has them stand up and walk. They weren't walking in Torah. He's going to start, though. The woman taken with the issue of blood. There's a whole list of rituals about the blood. She's unclean. So is the house of Israel. And what does the house of Israel need to do? Both houses. Touch his tzitzit. What's the tzitzit? The reminder to keep the Torah. And the woman caught in adultery is the whole house of Israel. All of them. So when he says, you who are without sin, cast the first stone. Which one of anybody in the entire land of Israel could have claimed they were without sin? They were all lost sheep. And so they walk away. And Messiah gives her grace, forgiveness, and admonishes her, stop breaking the Torah. She was guilty. Every one of these miracles are the story of Israel. All of us. Every miracle is intended as a parable. It's a teaching. It's a way of the master. So when he says to John, here's Luke chapter 7. This is number 12 on your notes. Luke chapter 7 and verse 19. So John the Baptist, he's now been taken to prison, right? He's gonna wind up losing his head for preaching the Torah against Herod because of what he's doing with his sister-in-law. And so John's in there and he's wondering, have we done the right thing? I guess maybe he's second guessing himself. And he says, and Yochanan, calling two of his disciples as taught ones near to him, sent to Yeshua saying, are you the coming one? John is waiting for the coming one. He's waiting for the Mashiach. He knows the Mashiach. He knows the shepherd of Ezekiel 34 is coming. Or should we look for another? And coming to him, the men said, Yochanan the immerser has sent us to you, to the master, saying, are you the coming one, or should we look for another? And look at Messiah's response. What does John want? He wants a clear witness. He wants to know, because he knows what's going to happen. You're sitting there in prison, in Herod's prison. You know things are going to go south here. Things are going to go real bad. He wants to know he did his job. Are you the one? Did I do it right? I need to know. So Messiah could have just sent somebody back and said, yeah, it's him. Does Messiah do that? There's only one person that I can remember that he actually goes to and says, yeah, I'm Messiah. The woman at the well. Everybody else, shh, don't say nothing. Nope, don't want to talk about it. No, we'll deal with that later. Keep that quiet. But the woman at the well, the northern house, she understands. And the story unfolds. So what does he do? He doesn't send somebody back that says, oh yeah, it's him. Don't worry about it. Here's what he does. And in the same hour, he healed many diseases. So that the people who were sent from John are doing what? They're watching this. They're seeing it. They're seeing it. Don't forget, John's been in prison, so he's not seeing all of this. They're seeing it. He healed many diseases and afflictions and wicked spirits. And he gave sight to many blind ones. And Yeshua answering said to him, go report to John. Tell this to John, what you have seen and heard. The blind receive sight, the lame do walk, lepers are cleansed, the deaf do hear, the dead are raised, the good news is brought to the poor. What good news? He who scattered Israel is now beginning the process to bring them back. And the shepherd, to do it, will give his life. And as a parable of where they have been and what's coming, he heals. He does all of these things as a lesson to teach them. This is what happens when you disobey the Torah. Obey me, be restored, be forgiven. Come back, be the house of Israel. Go report to John, and blessed is he who shall not stumble in me. Let me say that another way. Blessed is he who sees these things and understands what they mean. Did the Pharisees stumble in him? Well, they saw him raise Lazarus. They heard the miracles. They saw the miracles. What was their response to it? They stumbled in him. They didn't want to believe. They couldn't believe. You cannot be the shepherd. You're trying to act like El. You're forgiving sin. You're doing things that only El does. And they stumbled. Blessed is he who sees these things. Even if you have a hard time wrapping your mind around the Father's in me and I'm in the Father, at least look at the miracles. Look at the works. They speak for themselves. Not that a miracle was done. It's what the miracle means that speaks. That's what encouraged John in his day. So, the purpose, and from our Jewish brethren, they get this. So many of their rabbis say the same thing. When Messiah comes, he's going to heal the blind. He's going to heal the deaf. But he already did that. So we got to pray their eyes open. We got to pray the healing for them. And for many of us, too. That we really open up our eyes to what the whole story is really about. In these days, remember the song, Days of Elijah? These are the da. Well, they are. And he is beginning to restore all things back to us. So what does this all have to do with Shavuot? Well, way back at Passover, after the resurrection, when first fruits comes around, we know that Messiah is the first fruits of those born from among the dead. This is the process. He died, he rose. He's the good shepherd that gave his life and took it up again. He is the first of the harvest to see resurrection. And in the temple, when they created a ceremony for this day, not arbitrary, but by intent, the ceremony is you take the first fruits of the harvest, the first barley stalks of the harvest, and it's an offering before Yah on that day. This is the first one to come to life. So the barley harvest, the ceremony in the temple reflects Messiah, what he did. It's not just a ceremony. The ceremony has meaning. Then all these days later, after counting the Omer, all the way up to the memorial of when the house of Israel, with strangers and foreigners, became a bride and received the Torah. At the beginning of it, we now know in the story we read in Acts chapter 2, on this day we receive the gift, the Spirit. To do what? To teach us to obey now. Obey what the bride wouldn't obey before. This is him accomplishing the work, finishing the work that was started at Mount Sinai. And in the temple on this day, they do a whole bunch of things, but here's just Leviticus 23, verse 16. It says, until the morrow after the seventh Sabbath, count 50 days. So you count 7 weeks, 49 days. Then the next day, the 50th, then you shall bring a new grain offering to Yah. Bring it from your dwellings for a wave offering, 2 loaves of bread. How many? 2 loaves. One from far off, the other from near. If he is the beginning of the harvest to see resurrection, and the process is to take the rest of the sheep or the rest of the harvest and bring them together, they are represented as 2 loaves. But bring from your dwellings a wave offering, 2 loaves of bread, 2/10 of an ephah of fine flour. They are baked with leaven. You don't put leaven in any other offering. You don't. Where do we come out of? What was healed in us? Leaven. And we're still fighting the law of the flesh from the law of the Torah in the heart. We're still combating that. And yet, because of the Spirit he's given, those who are really his sheep are walking it out. 2 loaves of bread that have gone through leaven are taken as a wave offering, as one offering before Yah. The 2 become an offering. This is your first fruits. Verse 20. And the priest shall wave them besides the bread of the first fruits as a wave offering before Yah, besides the 2 lambs. So there's other things. There's other things that are done there. They're all a message in and of themselves. Just didn't have time to do it. They are set apart. They are holy for the priest. And on this same day you shall proclaim a set-apart gathering for yourselves. Do no servile work on it. It's a Sabbath. And this memorial, why is this a memorial forever in your dwellings throughout your generations? Why is this a memorial? Because the bride was split in 2 because of her disease, and this memorializes what the one who is the first one that is raised because of his life brings both of the sheepfolds together, and he makes them one sheepfold with one shepherd. Somebody say, ooh. Somebody say, ah. That's an ooh, ah. That's by design. That's incredible. But the question still remains, what greater works do we do? Like I said, I have not raised anybody from the dead. Seen a couple of people I thought while talking to them they were dead, but nope, didn't raise anybody from the dead. I have not laid hands on anybody and seen them healed of leprosy or whatever thing you want to mention. I'm not saying Yah doesn't do those things. I'm not saying not to pray for people. I'm not saying not to lay hands. Be careful who does lay hands on you. I'm not saying not to do any of that. So I haven't done any of that. How can I do a greater work? How can you do a greater work? You can still make people who are blind to see. You can still make people who are deaf and mute to both speak and hear. You can still make people who are lame to get up and to begin to walk in the instructions. You can still take the woman who's caught in adultery and tell her, I've been where you are, you're forgiven. Just don't do it again. You can still do that. You can still take the woman with the issue of blood and lead her to the tzitzit. You can still do that. Not to one person or 50 or 100. We can do it for our entire lives. That's a great work. That's a great work. Now, all of a sudden, this story means something totally different. It's wonderful. It's amazing. Acts chapter 1, verse 8. But you shall receive power. I put the PDP there. This is the whole leading up to the day of Shavuot. You shall receive power. I put the PDP to heal the afflicted. When the set-apart spirit has come upon you, and you shall be my witnesses. Wait a minute, what was all the miracles for? They were witnesses. You shall be my witnesses. You're going to do what the miracles did. In Jerusalem, that's to the flock who's near. And in Yehuda, the flock that's near. And to Samaria, that's the flock that's far off. And to the ends of the earth, because that's where the lost sheep of Israel are going to be scattered. Matthew chapter 28, verse 19. Therefore go and make taught ones of all the nations. Make disciples of all the nations, amongst which the sheep are scattered. And when you do, my sheep will hear my voice. Go and make taught ones of all the nations, immersing them in the name of Abba, in the name of the Son, and in the name of the set-apart Spirit, teaching them to guard, keep the commandments, all that I have commanded you. And see, I am with you always, even to the end of the age. That's a greater work. It's been going on a long time. Lots and lots of people. Revelation 7, 144,000 of all 12 of the tribes. And a myriad of people from every tribe, nation, and tongue will come out of great tribulation. That's healing. Revelation 21:1. Where is all this heading to? I honestly believe there is a Shavuot coming in the day of the regathering when we're going to see what happened on Acts chapter 2 happen all over again. The way it happened there. In that kind of incredible thing. Speaking the gospels in languages and in ways we've never even imagined. That power's coming. But what's the end result of this? What does it mean to finish the work? Revelation 21:1. And I saw a renewed heaven and a renewed earth. The former heaven and the former earth had passed away, and the sea is no more. And I, Yochanan, saw the set-apart city, the renewed Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from Elohim, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from heaven saying, see, the booth or the tabernacle of Elohim is with men. If the booth is there, if the tabernacle's there, what's all around him? The camp. The camp. The camp is around him. If you're in Jerusalem, that's the camp. And if you're unclean, you're outside of it. Now it's telling us the tabernacle of Yah is with men, and he shall dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and Elohim himself shall be with them and be their Elohim, and Elohim shall wipe away every tear from their eyes, and there will be no more death, no more sickness, no more blindness, no more dumbness, no more deafness, no more muteness, no more lameness, no more cancer, no more COVID. Just go down the list. We will stand before him the way Israel stood before him at Sinai. Clean in the camp. And Elohim shall wipe away every tear from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, no more mourning, no more crying, and there shall be no more pain from all the sickness. Because the former affliction, the former sickness, the former exile, the former matters have passed away. Are you sheep? Are you part of the sheepfold? Or are you a goat? Somebody say, bah. Greater works shall you do also who believe in him. That is Yah's word for this morning. Oh, we serve an awesome Yah. We really do. This story is so much deeper, so much more incredible than we ever thought. And guys, how many times have we read those over the years? 50, 60, 100 times? Never saw that. And then all of a sudden, one day, Yah's just like, poof, there it is. You were faithful in all the little things. You went to the restaurant. And you ate off the right menu. They had the right food. And I know everybody didn't like it, but you did it. You reached out and you touched my seat. You did the little thing. I want to help you understand something else. You did the little thing. You didn't go shopping. You didn't go on Amazon. You didn't go to whatever, on Shabbat. You just chilled for the day, hung around, fellowshiped, ate, did things with your family. You were invited to all sorts of things to do. You didn't want to do it. You couldn't do it because it involved things that you shouldn't do. I know it was maybe little things. You did that. You know what? I'm going to tell you stuff that you don't even know yet. I'm going to open your eyes. These are the days of Elijah. Preparing. I don't even know what the song is. Preparing the way of the Lord. It is. It's happening right now. Right now. Which should make you and I feel pretty darn good. Don't get cocky. But should feel pretty darn good. Yah, we love you. We thank you for your goodness, for your mercy. We thank you for the memorial of the wedding day and, Father, the anticipation of that day in the future when we will be in the camp, in your midst, before your Shekinah, your Shekinah glory. You will be our Elohim, and we will be your people, your bride, your sheepfold. In the name of the Master, give us grace. And Yah, we pray that you would open up the eyes of Judah. Help them to see. Give us words that we might share with them to help them see. We ask this in your mighty name. Amen and amen. Thank you guys for hanging out. Yeah, you can give a hand clap, sure. Thank you for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. Don't forget to join us on Monday morning for our morning manna. Have an awesome rest of the day. Everybody say it with me, Shabbat. Peace, everybody.